So please go to number 2, grouped share notes. Okay, you can't edit anything, right? So I think I'm gonna change the permission. Did you see that I click on lock share note first? So first you have to unlock so that the student can edit. So click on unlock. I will just pick on infinite period. But in real practice, it's up to you. If you wanted to unlock for 2 hours because you don't want them to like keep playing it after you finish your class, it's up to you. Okay, so I'm just gonna click on unlock. Okay, so did you see that it's still view only, isn't it? So actually there's 2 steps we have to change just in case. So I have to go back to my share notes. Did you see that I have the group share note settings in here? Oh, too complicated. So you can either click on it in here to change the share settings, or I will just go straight in the note. Because for me, that's more like obvious, because when you know that I'm not clicking on the wrong note, right? You can see that I have 11 students, including me, in this share note. So when I click on it, as a teacher, you'll be able to change the share settings. But as a student, you can see that if you click on share settings, you can't touch anything, right? Okay, so if you click on share settings, so all the students in workshop 1, I'm going to change to readable. Okay. So can you start typing in here? Yes, you can. So now we have 11 people. Okay, so we have a lot of cards in here. So I will quickly explain the activities and how to do it. So this is what we call a thinking tool. Okay? So as you can see that I have food, culture, natural places. So this is a group activities. So please pair with 2. So whatever, just pick a share note. So pick a card and then write down your name in the left-hand side, whatever. So I want 2 of you to form a group. Okay? And then please try to write food, places, culture, nature for Malaysia. It's just keywords. So for those of you who have never used thinking tools before, there's 2 ways to add cards in the thinking tool. First, you can either double click in the empty spots. Oh, I will change the color. Or can you see that there's a plus in the left hand side? Click on plus in this card. You can also have 1 card in here. So I'll give you 3 to 5 minutes. Please write down maybe your name or whatever. Just find out like 2 of you form the group and then try to finish these thinking tool activities together. Okay, so if you have any questions or you don't understand, please let me know. Okay. As you can see, a grouped share note, everybody can see the movement with your classmate. So remember the differences between the private note and the group share note, because we're gonna go through the share notes per students very soon. Okay. Yes, please someone just join student 1 in here. So there's no right or wrong answers. I might just quickly give you some examples. So let's say we have food is nasi lemak, roti canai. I don't know whether my pronunciation is right, but I love satay. And I believe the Tarek is a beer, maybe? Because I asked ChatGPT and kind of like, okay, this is the list. And I was like, can you give me the pronunciations for it? Okay, so this is one of the examples. This is no right or wrong, just to get a hint of how to use LottoNote. Okay, yes, and yes, it's perfect that you can see that you can also place the pictures. This looks so nice. What is this? Like a lunchbox in Malaysia? And we have, let's see, chicken rice. Oh, Victoria Bridge. There you go. Okay. can't read any of it, but I believe it's a good place and the food is good. Okay, these kind of things. So when you're busy, I'm gonna quickly explain the activities. So for this group share notes, it's everybody working together in one share note. The mission is to add ideas to your group areas. So in real practice, you can have a group of 2 or 4. I wouldn't recommend go over 6. It's gonna be a little bit chaotic. So I would say group of 2 or group of 6 depends on the size. And then the challenge is to share and see ideas in real time. As you can see that I'm not recommending this practice, but in a grouped share note settings, the students can just go over it and delete whatever cards in there. So when you guide the students to use the group share notes, please tell them to really focus on your working space instead of like touching somebody else's card. Does that make sense? Okay, so now we have a fair bit of cards. Ooh, this is really nice. So let's say, I'm gonna try something, please don't be mad. So let's say when you say this activity is only 5 minutes, right? But your students are getting very excited, so none of them will listen to you. Do we remember that we have the lock screen features? But we also have something else. It's called the lock share note. You can either lock now so that everybody will go back to the view only, or you can change this one. So let's say we finish the group activities. So everybody please stop, but students won't stop. So at this time as a teacher, you'll go back to the icon underneath your name. If you click on it, and then you click on share settings. Okay, so students in workshop 1, we now finish our work and student will keep typing, right? Especially if say they 1 more minute, you just keep typing. And then as a teacher, you go back to the share settings, you click on view only. Okay, so did you find that nobody can touch anything? So I found that this is one way of using it. So because I have teachers talking to me that I have submission box, right? But even though you have the deadline of submission, the student can resubmit. Because the design of it was because we want the students to learn from their peers and keep repeating. But also some of the teachers were saying that, why do we have a deadline then? So if you're using share note, we can change the edit, or was that the readable to view only. So we can also see the student work without really touching it. So this is one way of using it, by changing either the lock share note or change the permission of a specific note. Okay, so I have a question. What is the differences between, okay, I'll just go back to share settings. Let's say, readable. What is the differences between this guy? Oh, where's my mouse? Come back. Okay, what is the differences between this one and the things in here? It's a little bit complicated. But I'll give you the answer. So if you click on here, lock share notes, all of the share notes will be locked. Does that make sense? Good. Okay, so if you go to individual notes, if you click on share settings and then view only, you only temporarily lock this specific share note. Does that make sense? Yes, so I'll repeat. So if you, for me, it's kind of like very straightforward, but the first time when I was trying to do the menu was pretty complicated. So for me, like if you click on lock share note in the summary, I call it the summary toolbar, it's locking all the share notes, right? But if you go to individual notes, let's say you want student have like share note 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we finished number 1. Let's move on number 2. But if you click on lock share note, no one can touch number 2, number 3, number 4. But if you change the individual note settings, student will have to finish the share note 1, and then they can still touch the share note 2. Does that make sense? Okay, so that's one way of using it. So let's see. I'm just go back to view only. Oh, this is very nice. Okay, so let's say you like one of the, I'm sorting that for you guys. Readable. Okay, so let's say I really like this card. I wanted to have it for my card. So I'm going to click on send and then click on send. Okay, sorry, wait, where's my mouse? Okay, so I'm going to click on back. I'm going back to my private note so that whatever, just click on one of the notes and I click on send. Did you see that I click on my note? Because I want my student's card, like my peer's card. Okay, so you click on my note. And it has the share notes or note, but you cannot touch it, isn't it? Because you're already in that share note. So let's say I want the student A's card to be in my private note. I'm going to do it again. So I'll go into the card, click on send, and then click on send, and then click on my note. And then I have my private note, isn't it? You click on my private note, you click on send, and you will see that I have my friend's card in my personal note. So I found that very useful too. Like, how do you move the cards from a shared note to your private note? Is by sending the card to your private note. That makes sense? Okay, so we quickly finish the share note. I think I'm going to quickly explain. So we've done these activities, isn't it? I'm going to also share the screen. So we have touched the group share notes. We have the benefits. It's easy to collect ideas from the whole class. And we support discussions because everybody can see what's going on. And also it's useful for brainstorming. And some students will finish quicker. So instead of like waiting and doing nothing in the class, they can actually get into your friend's card and see what's going on. But also we have challenges, right? So it can be very crowded. Like, let's say you have 60 students in a class and then you ask them to do one activity at the same time, then you will see 60 students and moving cards around. So it can be really crowded and it's very hard to monitor. As you can see that when you move the card, your name appears underneath, isn't it? But when you stop moving the card, your name is disappeared. So let's say, I don't like this example, but let's say you have a student deleting another student's card. You cannot monitor at all. The card is just gone, right? So it will be hard to a little bit monitor the student's progress. And let's say you have one student in the middle, like at the end of the card, and then she stopped. But because it's a group activities, you cannot really see until the student kind of like raise her hand that I need some help. But most of the time, the student will just stay quiet, right? So it also requires some preparation before class because you can see that I have to prepare this guy. Oops. I have to prepare this template first, right? So now if we move to the share notes for each student, what will happen? Okay, so everybody please go back to your share note or your private note, whatever, that's fine. Please click on back. And this time, I want you to go to the share notes for each student. Just click on it. Can you see that I already sent you a template? Yes. Would you like to quickly click on it? Yes. And because I already opened the permission, so you should be able to move around the card. Okay. So we're going to quickly explain the share notes for each student. So this is a little game I make for Malaysia. So hopefully AI is doing a good job because I can't read. So the mission is to find the correct answer card. And the challenges is change the correct card to yellow. So how can I change the card to yellow? So let's say, I'm just going to duplicate this one. So let's say this is one of the cards I have at the moment, right? by clicking the card, do you see that I can change it in the right hand side? So I pick this card. I think this is the correct answer, right? So I explained why we're going to do this kind of activity was because, so we talked about as a grouped activities, it's so hard to monitor students in the big group share notes. But for share notes for each student, if you're moving the cards around, okay, I'm gonna make it bigger. Oops. Okay. As you can see that, did you see the student 0 has add one more card on top of it? So every time when you start changing anything, you will see that it appears straight away. Okay, we have students stacking all the cards together. See? So this is what we call the shared note per student. Because in real classes, you'll be able to see, I wouldn't use monitor, but you'll be able to see the student's movement, right? So now, if you understand how to do the cards, we're gonna have a quick group activities. It's this, because I'm just curious. So I'm just gonna ask you questions. So as you can see that I have question 1 for 4 cards, question 2 for 4 cards, question 3 for 4 cards. So I'm gonna ask you a question and then you're gonna give me the answer by changing the cards to yellow. Are you ready? So the first question, which one is food? Do you remember how to change the color to yellow? Yes, by clicking the card and then change the background to yellow. There you go. So the interesting to see is, as a teacher, I can see that, oh, we've got like student 17, student 1, 5, 6, and student 4 and 10 is getting the right answer. Oh, but my student 7 is not doing anything. Maybe she needs some help. Does that make sense? Yes. So for share notes per student, you get an instant feedback for each individual student. So I find that very easy to use. Okay. So my second question would be, what was that? I forgot. Okay. My second question is, oh, which one is nature? Okay, which one is nature? So click on the card and changing the colors. My internet's a little bit slow. Okay. And for those of you who has know, we have a little update. So before, you have to get into the card to change the background color, isn't it? But this time, because we have the update, so even though in Log console, like the operation console, if you long press the card or right click the card, you will be able to change the background in the operation screen. So that's a little update, because before you have to get into the card, but now you can just do it on the operation screen, right? Okay, I think everybody's doing a good job. So my last question is, which one is place? Which one is place? So let's say this one is place. Long pressed it and change the background to yellow. Okay, so let's see. Everybody's catching up or not? Okay. As you can see that we have student number 1 is moving all the cards around. Right? It's very interesting. So as a teacher, so let's say, oh, my student 1, probably he doesn't understand what's going on. So you can either, stop moving and you can just say that. Hey, do you need some help? Right. So it can be quite, I would say quite individual, because you can see that when you go back to your screen, even though I'm talking to student 1, the other student cannot see. I will say that it gives these students a little privacy. If some students need some help, instead of because before, if you're setting this card to student 1, it's different. But you will have a constant feedback, because you can see that my student say that I'm fine. Okay. And I would just say that, okay. And just leave it there. So I think this kind of individual share card is very helpful. Okay, so now I have a question. Let's say I really like student one's work, but I don't want the rest of the student to see. So I have, let's say, 30 students in a class, and I really want to use student one's as an example. Can I only share student one and your own work? Can I do it or not? Or do I have to share all of it? Because before, when we have the submission box, you'd either share answers for all, or you're not sharing, isn't it? So, I have a question, have a guess. Can I only show you one student's work without showing the rest of the room? Okay. The answer is yes, but it has to do it in order. So let's say I really want student one's work, but as a student 0, I can't see, right? So I'm going to click on a little small but 3 dots underneath. And then I'm going to change the share settings. So if I click on change share settings, so this one is, I will say maybe view only, because I don't want the student to touch it. I think I was doing it right. Okay. Okay. You have to refresh the page. Okay, perfect. Did you see that? You have to refresh the page for a little while. So I wasn't really that confident as well. I remember that's correct, but okay, so this is also a new features because we have teachers saying that I don't want everybody to see, but there's certain students' work. Let's say the group leader, they're doing a great job. I want them to share without being so crowded for 60 people. So this is how you do it. So let's say I want, now you can see your own work and the student one's work, isn't it? So if I click on it, did you see that it's view only? I can't touch it, right? So now everybody, please refresh your page. You should be able to see the student one and your own work. So I want everybody to get in this note, and I'm going to change the settings. So sorry, student one, I'm going to use you as an example. I'm going to change to readable. So what happened now is everybody can write in the student one's share note. A little bit complicated. Remember the group share notes? It's everybody working in the same group note, right? But this student's share note per student, yes, that's correct. Oops, sorry. Yes, so students sharing notes per student, it's you have your individual share note, but by changing the permissions, everybody can also get into one specific share note. So let's say I find student is deleting card. I don't like it, right? So I will change back to not share. So did you see that student one is no longer shared? So if in the class you see that, okay, sometimes it's out of control, you can change the settings for individual notes. Does that make sense? Okay, it's complicated. I'm going to send you the explanation so that you understand what we're doing it. Okay, so this is the one. So we talked about it, isn't it? By changing the settings. So the first one, it's not share with classmates, isn't it? So like this, I can't see anything. So that's the permission of not shared anything. But then if you want one specific student's work to be viewed by the whole class, you have to change the folder permission. Okay, so I'm gonna send this to you so that you understand. Okay, so change the folder settings to not share with classmates, and then you can see that I can't see anything. But if I wanted to see individual students, you click on share settings and then change the permissions to either view only or readable, and then refresh the page. Always remember to refresh the page, and then you will now be able to see or like to write or view the student's work. Okay, so it's a little bit complicated. I'm going to go back and show you how it works. Okay, so we have done this before. So that's the little icon. If you click on it, you can see that I click on not share with classmates, right? If you wanted to share one student's share note, you have to click on the three dots with that specific note, okay? But if you say, doesn't matter, too complicated, then you go back to the icon, click on viewable by classmates. So did you see now you can see everybody's work? Yes, so I find that, so for me, the easiest way for me to remember it is if any operations you have to done in the main console, like this one or this one, it's changing or like 0 to 1. It's either share for or not share, right? But if you wanted to change individual settings, you always get into the note and change the settings. I know sometimes it's a little bit complicated to understand because when I have teachers asking me, oh, why it's not readable? Because you lock all the share notes, right? So the hierarchy is the main console will the individual settings will overwrite the main console. Okay, you don't have to memorize it because when you touch it, when you use it in school, you understand that, okay, so if I touch this note, people can see it or people can see all of it, right? Okay, so I'm just gonna change back to editable by classmates. So now you can just randomly go into any student's note and start writing. I wouldn't recommend it if you're not confident in the school. Or with younger kids, I would say that just let them get used to having the view only first, and then like gradually give them the permissions to, let's say, editable. And then if they're out of control, instead of like lock screen, we just change back to view only. So that's gonna be a little bit easier. What's this? Okay, I have no idea what's going on. But so let's say this is what's happening with the share notes per student. So far, does anyone have any questions? Yes, of course, it's a great question. I know you're gonna ask me that. Okay, so let's go back to this one. So remember, if you're sharing everything with your students, you have to close it first. So go back to the main console icon, click on not share with classmates. Okay, so this is by default, you only have your own share notes, right? So let's say now I wanted to share student 1 and maybe student 11. Let's say, so you click on student 1, 3 dots underneath, and click on share settings. Click on, I would just say, hope you don't mind, I'm gonna say readable. Okay, so student 1 has been changed. And let's say student 11, I also click on it and click on share settings. And then I change it to maybe view only. Okay. And everybody please go back and refresh your page and then go back to the folder again. Did you see that for student 11, it's view only, right? I can touch. But for student 1, thank you so much for using an example, I can add stuff in it. So Nizo is asking me a very good questions because did you remember for submission box and group share notes, you can only have everybody view only, everybody readable, right? But for individual share notes, every share note have different permissions. So that's actually a great question because I also don't understand the answer until I touched it yesterday. I was like, yeah, if I can do 1, can I do 10? So can anybody give me an example? How can we really use this at school? By changing all the permissions? Submission box, can I only share individual students' answers? The answer is no. So in submission box, you either share all of them or not share, right? So because of that, the engineers was talking about like, hey, can we have individual permissions for share notes? But as a grouped share notes, this guy, remember? because everybody is in one note. So you also have to share or not sharing it. So that's why we developed kind of like in the middle. It's called the share notes for each student. Like this. I'm going to show you this one. Like this. We will start as not share. You remember? We start as not share so that you can only see your cards, but not your classmates' card. So for submission box, it's not sharing answers, right? But then when you're doing something and then you wanted to visit each other's notes and leave comments, you need to change it to everyone can edit or viewable. But let's say you have 60 students. If you open all of them, it's very hard for you to monitor because my student 6 or 7 can go to student 1 or 2 and start writing something. So by, I would say, gradually open, let's say everybody please go back to student 1's share note. So you only need to change the permission for student 1. And then once we finish, everybody please go to student number 2. I mean, it requires the teacher have lots of performance, like a lot of things. But if you wanted to monitor or guide the students through classes, I would say guide them to each student's individual share notes will be a lot efficient rather than you open all of them and try to lock all of them at the same time, right? So after that, once they finish, you just click back to not share. That kind of things. And also, if the student wants to have their individual cards in that student's share note, do you remember we use same cards, right? Okay, so the key points for this note is sharing settings can be used to control lesson flow and students' interactions. So for group share notes, this is quite difficult, but for share notes per individual students, it's easier. Okay, so we talked about the group share, individual notes, group share notes, and then we have the share notes for students. So do you remember we have the empty and template? So empty is very straightforward. Like you have a empty card. So I'm gonna do this together. So let's say this is your share note. I'm just going to create it. I'm going to create a share note for everyone. So I will go to share notes, click on create share notes for individual students, and create a blank note. Okay, so I'm going to name it for whatever, empty. Empty, and then you click on create. So you can see that it's not shared because I don't mind. So I'm just going to click on readable. So I'm going to click on create. So everybody please click on back. Did you see that we have a work for June 5, 2026 empty? So because we run out of time, so we're not going to do like create your own lesson plan, but please feel free to go into whatever cards and trying to just put some cards randomly in your student's note. As you can see that student 0 has put 1 card on it. So I finished student 11. Okay, so once I finish, I'm kind of like, I want to see what's everybody's going. And I'll go to maybe click on student 20, and then I'm also going to add a card in it. Hello. Yes, that's it. So did you see that it's when student changing their cards, the order is going to change, and the student and the teacher's side. So that's how we call it a empty. And then I found that more practical is to having the template. Okay, so let's say, do I make a template? Okay, so let's say, sorry, this should be a template, but anyways. So I want to send you this as a template. So what should I do? So as a teacher, let's say I've already prepared a template. I will click on share note, a good share note. And then this time also click on create a share note for each student. And then I'm going to click on use an existing note as a template. Okay, if you click on it, I will just maybe use it on. And then I'm going to click on select. I don't mind, just click on maybe view only. Let's see. So I'm going to click on create. So everybody please click on back. Did you see that there's a new folder called for empty prep? If you click on it, can you see that I've just sent you all the template I've made, right? So if you click on it, you cannot write anything. The reason I do it was because if you give them the template, the student will go straight to do it instead of listening to it. Yes, it makes things a lot easier because you don't have to send individual students the same card and then guide them through that. Oh, you have to place this card on your left hand side, you have to place the pink card on your top. You just give them the template and they will do it in their own time. You can send it in their private note. But do you remember? If I do anything in my private note, the teacher can't see anything, right? So I don't know whether my students need some help or not. By doing the template, I can see that, okay, I'm gonna just change the settings for editable by classmates. So refresh your page. Now your student can start typing like, oh, I like it. Blah, blah, blah. That kind of things, right? So as a teacher, I can see that, okay, when I get into student zero's work, I can see that my student is writing on something. So that's the differences between private, share note per student with all the permissions and authorities. Okay, so I hope you like these activities. So we're gonna quickly explain the template features. I'm gonna send this to you as well. Yes, I put my template in here. Send it to everyone. Send it to all of you. Okay, as you can see that even though I'm going back to my private note, when you are doing something in your individual share notes, I can still send you cards. So without interrupting the student's work, I don't have to tell you, because do you remember before we have to say that, okay, everybody please go back to your private note. I'm going to send you a card. Please go back to your private note and check. But now we will just send you the cards when you're working. So you can see that I changed the settings in the console, and then I changed the Nockshare to readable, and I have using an existing note as a template. And then I will just guide the student to click on the note so that you can see that this is a template I've sent you already. Okay, it's a lot to remember, but when you get a hint of it, you should be able to understand. It's not difficult. Okay, so we're gonna wrap up from here. I have 3 advanced tips for you. So we talked about how to share individually instead of sharing for the whole class. It's very good it makes things easier. And also we talked about like the advanced tips. We actually can set a deadline. We can lock editing after a special date and time in creating a true kind of like a submission deadline. So let's see. I remember I tried it like that. So do you remember for submission box, there's no way we can stop the student from submitting after that, right? So I have teachers saying that, then why do we have a deadline? Because we do want the student to keep submitting to see if they understand or not. But if you don't like the way to use it, we also have another way. Let's say I'm going to create a share note. I'm going to create a new share note named, let's say, homework. Okay, so you're gonna create, I think it's in here. If you click on create, I will click on writable, and then you click on create. Okay, and then I remember it's here that share settings. Oh, sorry, it's in here. If you click on lock share note for this one, let's say you need this one to be locked with the 30s. Let's say I want you to finish his homework within the 30s, and I will just click on the 30s so that you will know that this, Yes, so that you will know the student will only have 10 days to do this homework. After that, everything will be locked. So hope that makes sense. And then, okay, where is it? Yes, so that's kind of like a deadline I really like. And also the customized setting, remember we talked about it? Like we can change sharing settings for individual students, make things easier, and create like a small group within the class. So let's say, do you remember now I have student 1 or 2? So student 1 or 2, please go to student 1's share note. So everybody will work on one student's share notes instead of 2. And then the last one I find it very useful is to restore the previous versions, because we talked about like students will kind of delete somebody else's work by accident, because I believe that they don't know how to do it, so they delete it by accident. So by having the share note history like this, let's say I have this one. Did you see that we have a version history here? So if you click on version history, it has daily, hourly, every 5 minutes, that kind of things. You can see that, okay, let's say I wanted to restore this card from here. I just click on 3 dots and, oops, I remember is here, what was that? Oh, sorry, yes, copy. Okay, so if you click on copy, it's too complicated. I will just put it back to my, I'll just put it back to my share note, copy share note, and execute. Copy to workshop 1 workshop. So, as you can see that I have a copy in here because there's one student accidentally delete another student card. So by having the version history, you'll be able to retrieve some of the cards. And we have these functions was because, do you remember, every card in private note, if you delete it, it's gone. But if you have a share note, by having the version history, you should be able to restore the card back. Hope that makes sense? Okay. And also you can see it will also appear for the student. So let's say you don't have to just recreate the whole share notes. The students can just get into it and just start from there. And let's say if you don't want this one anymore, you can just delete it. Does that make sense? Okay. Let's say I don't want this one. I will just click on delete. Okay, so that it's not found for the student side. So that's another way of using it, but it's a little bit too complicated. So for me, I will just tell the students, you know what, just focus on your work. Focus on your work, okay? And the last one I would like to talk about is when should I use each tool? I'm gonna send this to you as well. Okay. I'm gonna send this to you, to all of you. Okay, so you can see. So we have group share notes. We have the share notes for each student. We have the submission box, right? We keep repeating the differences between these 3. So the first one, the grouped share note is best for collecting class ideas, the whole class discussions, and the brainstorming, because everybody basically is working at the same workspace, right? So you have the share notes for each student. It's best for, I would say, monitoring individual progress in a good way, because also sometimes the students have privacies, right? But if they need some help, we're here to help. So that's the main reason why we create this kind of like the share notes for each student. And then we have real-time observations, as you can see that not just me as a teacher, as other students, if you select the permissions to view only, you can also see your classmates' work, but without touching it. So that's the biggest difference compared to the group work, right? And then it also personalized the learning activities. Remember we were talking in student 1, like, do you need some help? The student 1 say, I'm fine, I'm chill, right? So that's a very good personalized learning activities. So we talked about the submission box. Submission box is really good for reviewing final answers. And also, we haven't covered it was because we talked about this guy. Oops. So if you click on submit, I think I saw something. Someone was resubmitting like 2 times or 3 times. Let's see if I have one. Okay, perfect. So did you see that it's very, very small? But in the submission icon, it has a number 2 in here, right? So for submission box, you don't have to click on retrieve, what was that, the data history. So in submission box, if you click on the icon, you can see the submission history. So I would say it's more direct compared to the individual student sharing notes or the share note for group. So that's the only difference. And also we talked about you either share all of them or not sharing. But for individual share notes, you can change permissions, right? And then also you can download the Excel reports for the submission status. And also we can track submission grades and deadlines, assessments and grading, because we don't really do gradings in individual share notes. But if you wanted to do, we can. Let's say I'm a teacher and I think like good job. Let's say you can do individual grading, but it's more direct when you're doing submission box. Do you remember how we grade the task in submission box? You finish one, you just slide to the next one, right? But if you wanted to grade in the student share note, every time as a teacher, you have to go back and get into everyone's notes to do the grading. So it's not as direct as, oh, that's good. So it's not as direct as the submission box. Does that make sense? Okay, so for me, I really like to use all of them, but it depends on how you wanted to use it. And also, if you're dealing with the students who are more, how can I say that, who are more well-behaved, so that you don't have to keep like changing all the permissions. But if you're doing with the younger age, when sometimes they're out of control, it's good to really just gradually show them, okay, let's go to student number 1's notes. And then once you're finished, don't forget to really change back to view only. So for student share notes, it requires a lot of work as a teacher because you have to change individual permissions, right? But rather for the grouped share notes, it's just 1 or all, like 0 or 1. So hope that makes sense. I think that's all for me today. So if you have any questions and concerns, please let me know.